A message to the man. Oh, seasons come and go, but I will never change, and I'm on my way. Let's go. Yeah, you're listening now. They say they ain't heard nothing like this in a while. That's why they play my song on so many different dials. Cause I got more hits than a disciplined child. So when they see me, everybody's barat. Man, I'm like a young gun, fully black Barack. Fire teardrops over the massive attack. Only making hits like I work with a racket and back. Look at my jacket, the hat, so down reserved, so down to earth. I'm bringing gravity back, adopted by the major. I want my family back. People work hard just to get all their salaries taxed. Look, I'm just a writer from the ghetto like Mallory Black. Where the hell are the sanity at? Damn, I used to be the kid that no one cared about. That's why you have to keep screaming till they hear you out.
Alright there, YouTubers and fellow airsofters. Basically today we're going to be getting into the G39C WE trigger box because yes, I have steel parts. What I'm bringing you today is I'm going to show you how to disassemble the entire trigger box to install these steel parts and how to put them back in. Basically, I want to let everybody know before I get started on this, if you're going to do your steel upgrade to your trigger box on the G39, please watch the video maybe once or twice because there's a lot more involved in this style trigger box than there is for the SCAR or the M4. There's a lot more moving parts involved in it, and you want to be paying close attention. Now I'm going to get detailed with it so everybody can see what's going on. Also keep in mind that some of the parts that you're going to be taking out of here, you're also going to be needing some of the springs and bearings and so on and so on. So with that said, let's just jump right into it. Basically what you're going to need is a pair of needle nose, a flathead screwdriver, a Phillips head screwdriver, and a push punch. Alright, now to get started, what you're going to want to do is basically, and an Allen key. On top of your selector gears here, okay, there's an Allen key. You're going to want to take those gears and loosen them up just a bit, like so. At the same time, make sure you're holding your selector switch, because behind the selector switch is a little bearing and a spring, which I'll show you here in a minute. When you pull this off, here you go, it just fell out. There's a little bearing here, just like the SCAR. The SCAR has somewhat the same thing that sits in these slots that when the selector slides around. And on the back of your selector here, you can see that little spring in there. That's what holds the bearing in. So make sure you don't lose those two parts. Put them aside. Let's do the other side here. Alright. Got the bearing and the spring out. Alright. Now the next step, what you're going to want to do is there's a screw here that holds your trigger box into the trigger housing. So basically just trigger box housing, just take that screw out like so. Now after all that's taken out, your whole trigger box will slide out of your trigger housing with the gears. Now these gears here, as you can see, they are not mounted in there, they just come right on and off, but there is slots, as you can see, this ring, and there's a slot on the back of the gears, so they won't move around inside your trigger box. But that there is what gives you your selection for safe, semi-auto, and all. So put them aside. The one fell off the other side already. What you're going to want to do next is take off your front bolt catch here and your bolt catch release on the bottom here. It's all uniformed in one solid piece. Now when you take out the screw here in the front to hold your bolt catch in, make sure once again that you're holding everything together, because there's a little spring once again that's mounted to the bolt catch. Screw. And if you can see right there, see that spring? You want to make sure that you don't lose that neither, because it has tension on it right now, and when you take this off, it has a tendency to fly. Just to let everybody know. There you go. Put that to the side. I'm going to reuse that again. Okay. Next, what you're going to want to do is there's two screws here This plate here is basically will hold your valve locker and your valve locker spring in, and it also protects your pin that's into your trigger. So you're going to want to take these two screws out, put them to the side. Now when you take this plate off, your selector rod also come off with it, like so. And then here's your valve locker and your valve locker spring, as you can see in there. You don't want to lose that spring neither. Like I said, there's a lot of springs. So take it out carefully, making sure that your spring doesn't fly out on you. Alright, move that. Your valve locker. And then your bolt catch release can come off next, like so. Alright, now you also want to be careful too, because there's springs underneath here. As you can see here, there's one and there's another one there. Those springs are for your bolt catch release, but basically they won't come out. As you can see, just keep an eye on them to make sure, but yeah, they won't really come out. I mean, I have had no problems with them so far, but basically now what you're going to want to do is there's 3 pins. You see one here that sits behind this wheel. You got a pin here and a pin here. This here is your selector pin, this is your trigger pin, I'm sorry, this is your hammer pin, and this is your trigger pin. What you want to do next, push your selector pin out. Okay, now the selector has a spring on it also, make sure you don't lose it, which is right there. Put that to the side, and then your selector plate comes out. Next, what you're going to do, push out your hammer pin. Once again, hold it because it's got tension on it from the spring. And there goes your hammer with the hammer bearing and the hammer spring. Now you're going to reuse that hammer bearing, so don't lose that, and you're also going to reuse the spring. Okay? After that's done, basically then your selector, your fire selector here can come out. Alright? Next pin is your trigger pin. Same thing as the hammer, just push it through. Just lost that. And that wants to be a hold on. There you go. Push it through. Slide your trigger right on out. Alright, once again you're going to use this bearing, and you're also going to use these springs again, so make sure you don't lose that. Now, I want to make sure that I'm critical about this here. This here is your sear, this here is your trigger. Okay, in between your trigger and your sear there's another little tiny spring. Okay, when you slide this bearing out like so, make sure you put pressure on the sear so that spring does not shoot out, which is right there. If you lose that spring, basically what your gun will do is it'll shoot sporadic. You'll probably get 1 or 2 shots off in semi-automatic, and from there on out it'll start ripping full auto for no reason. But that little spring there can make a big difference. So basically that's it. That's the whole trigger box disassembled. Oh, my bad. We have to take the pin out. To take out the firing pin here, just take the 2 screws out on your firing pin plate, like so. Now there's also a spring in here. Going to pop your plate off. Okay. And this here is your spring that sits inside your firing pin. Now I also want to mention this too. If you look inside the spring here, there is a kind of a plastic rod, rubber rod inside there. If you lose that rod, your gun won't work. That little piece of rod there makes a big difference. What that little rod inside that spring does is when you go to rack your gun back, okay, it gives a distance between the spring and the firing pin to catch. Now, when you go to rack your gun back, it won't work. The firing pin won't recess back into the trigger box. Now, basically what you would have to do is, if you do lose that plastic piece, is try to find something else to slide in there that size, or if when you go to rack it back, you can put your finger up inside the mag well and push the firing pin back into place, and the gun will work fine. It'll shoot in semi-automatic, fully automatic, but it just will not work when you go to rack it back for some reason. So make sure you keep an eye on that little plastic piece too that's inside that spring. Now basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the steel parts here from RA Tech and show you the difference between them, and we'll get into installing them. Alright, so what we have here is we have the two different styles here. This here is the stock WE set. This here is the RA Tech CNC steel set. Now basically I'm going to show you the difference here. This here is the sear by WE, okay, and this one here is the steel one. You can see a difference just in the color of it, and this one also weighs a lot more. Okay, the triggers WE stock, RA Tech steel. Alright, now firing pins, this is WE stock firing pin, this is RA Tech stainless steel firing pin, and this one here is also heavier. Moving on, we got the hammers. This is the stock hammer by WE, this one here is the steel one. As you can see on the WE hammer, there is a pin that holds the bearing in there, the ball bearing here on the top of the hammer. On RA Tech steel one, it's pressed in. So basically you won't ever have to worry about that pin falling out and having those problems like most people have. Moving on, next is the valve locker. Now if you look at the valve locker here, this is RA Tech's. It looks like it's steel, but it's not. Trust me, I've broken plenty of these things. And this here is RA Tech's stainless steel. Alright. Now let me get some of these parts out the way, and we'll get to installing it.